ready to go.
All right, so I'd love to just find out from everyone a little bit about if you have any injuries or anything I need to know about. So I'm just going to move to, for me, my gallery view, and welcome everyone. So yeah, so if anyone has any injuries or anything I need to know about today, please unmute yourself and let me know. Everybody's okay? Yeah? All right, great. So this class is going to be really easygoing. We're not going to do anything really overly challenging. We're not going to do handstands. We're not going to do headstands. We're not going to do shoulder stands and things like that. We're going to just move into a creative flow, which is really my passion. And I just want you to feel free that if there's anything that doesn't suit your body or doesn't feel right for you, that you just take it easy, you just go in your own time, and you just look after yourself. If you want to leave at any time, don't worry, I won't be offended. You can just go. So the whole idea with this Zoom around the world is that we're just really going through the different kinds of modalities, different kinds of practices, and just being really sensitive to what that brings up in us. So, you know, for me, when I teach, it's all about nurturing. Like, I really like to share how we can really nurture ourselves, and also to have a really deep understanding of what each posture is doing for us. So I like to go into sort of the physiological benefits. So I will be talking throughout and sharing how these poses are supporting us. So I think we're just going to get right into it. I'm going to go back to my view, and I'm actually going to hide myself so that I can see more people. And I'm just going to hop over to my mat, and I'm just going to check that once I'm back here, and gosh, it's actually quite hot here in today. It's winter, but it's about 30 degrees, so it's actually really hot. So can everybody still hear me? I just need a thumbs up, Tim, if it's all good. You can still hear me? Yeah. Okay, great. So I'd like everyone to come into a nice, comfortable seat. You can sit with your one heel in front of the other. You can sit with your shins crossed. If you're not comfortable sitting just flat on the floor, get yourself some sort of prop. I like to use a little bit of a blanket, or you can even use a block if you have a block handy. And then you just want to prop yourself up just a little bit on that, so you've got your pelvis tipping forward slightly. Often when we're not comfortable sitting on the floor, it's because we're sitting a little bit too much on the back of our sitting bones or on our tailbone. And it means that our pelvis is slightly posteriored. And that can be due to a tight front body here where the psoas is, which runs from the base of your ribs all the way down to your inner thigh. It can be structural. Yeah, so that posterior tilt, we want to give that a little bit of a lift so that we're sitting right on the center of our sitting bones. Like that, yeah? And look, if sitting cross-legged is really challenging for you, your knees are really up high, there's absolutely nothing wrong with sitting on your heels, or even putting a blanket in between your buttocks and your heels, or even sitting as high up as on a block. So there's, you know, lots of different ways to get comfortable and to sit. And you want to choose the one that's really, really nice for you. So not everybody is comfortable sitting cross-legged. And I often say to people, if you're not comfortable in either of those positions, just stick your legs out and just sit with your legs out. Or even you can have your knees bent and have something underneath your knees. Or you can even put yourself right at the wall. So now that we've found our comfortable seat, just relax, close your eyes. We're going to bring one hand to rest on top of the other. And we're going to spend a few moments just observing the breath. Just coming into your body and noticing the inhale and noticing the exhale. And really feeling where the breath is centered in your body. Do you feel it in your chest when you breathe in? Do you feel it in your belly? And not judging the breath, just letting the breath do what it naturally does. So as soon as we bring the mind to the breath, we bring ourselves into a one-pointed focus. Totally present. And then just see if you can start to deepen and lengthen your breath in whatever way feels comfortable for you. And just be really aware of your spine and the movement or how the breath is affecting the spinal movement. Can you feel the space expanding in between your vertebrae? Can you feel the natural wave of the spine as you breathe in and out? And you might notice that as you breathe in, there's a slight rocking of the frontal bones, the front of your hip bones, just slightly moving forward. And then how the belly expands and the ribs expand and the top chest lifts. And then as you exhale, how as the abdomen draws back to the spine, the tailbone tucks under slightly. And the last part of the movement as you exhale is that the fronts of your shoulders come forward. So if you just open your eyes for a moment, just to get a sense of this, as you inhale, your pelvic bones move forward, your ribs expand, your top chest lifts, even your chin comes up slightly. And then as you exhale, your tailbone draws down, your abdomen is drawing back to the spine, and eventually the top corners of the shoulders release, and the chin drops down, and the back of the neck lengthens. And again, as you inhale, you'll feel your hip bones moving forward. There's a slight arch in the lumbar spine. The chest opens, the chin lifts. And then as you exhale, the tailbone tucks under, the abdomen draws back to the spine, and the upper head releases. And we're going to take this now into a free-flowing movement. So as you inhale, you're going to raise your arms up. You're going to lift them all the way up, raising the arms, opening the chest, feeling that stretch through the front of the body. And then as you exhale, you're just going to let the tailbone tuck under, and the hands come. And the arms, so the elbows bend and the forearms relax and everything comes down. And then again, inhale, we're going to take the pelvis forward, slight arch in the lumbar spine, taking the arms back slightly behind the shoulders, then raising the arms all the way to the ceiling. And then as you exhale, let the arms come across the front of the body with the elbows bending, the tailbone tucking under, and the shoulders releasing. So we're just moving in a way, raising the arms up, feeling that spine coming back to center at the top of the inhalation. And as you exhale, the tailbone tucks under, the elbows soften, and the head releases. I'm just doing this a few more times. Really feel how this movement through the spine expands the breath, opens the ribs and the space in between the ribs. And then as you exhale and tuck the tailbone under and let the upper body release, how it closes off the breath. And we're just going to do one more. Inhale, really let that wave happen through the spine. And then as you exhale, tucking the tailbone under and just letting everything release. And then coming back to neutral, you're going to interlace the fingers and around the upper spine, really pressing into that thoracic spine. And then inhale, coming upright, nice lift. And then exhale, lowering the arms, interlacing the fingers behind you, draw the knuckles down, as you open through the chest. And then just take a moment here to move the right shoulder forward and the left shoulder forward, and then draw the knuckles back, and then take another deep inhalation, and then exhale, release the hands, and we'll do that again. So as you exhale, you round the upper body. As you inhale, you raise the arms up, and then exhale, lowering the arms, interlacing the fingers behind you, and opening through the chest. Take a breath in here. And last one, exhale, rounding the upper spine. Inhale, raising the arms. Exhale, lowering the arms, interlacing the fingers, opening through the chest. And exhale, releasing. And then just close the eyes for a moment and bring your awareness and attention just behind the shoulder blades, the space beneath the shoulder blades. And just notice the energy circulating there. And notice how that changes your breath. Makes your breath hopefully more expansive. And then just gently open your eyes and come on to your hands and knees. Having your hands directly underneath your shoulders and your knees directly underneath your hips. And begin just by paddling out the feet. So just hitting the feet. We're just going to increase the circulation in your feet. And then tuck your toes under and just send your buttocks back to your heels. Exhaling here and pressing into the pads of the feet. So we're waking up the toes and we're going into the metatarsals. And we've got a lot of reflexology and meridian points there as well. So we just want to put a little bit of energy into that area. See if you can get your little toe down. It's pretty hard to do. And then inhale, come back onto your hands and knees. Relax your feet, tuck your tailbone under, and let your head release. And then again, tucking the toes under, bend the elbows slightly, open the chest now. Draw the breath in through the nostrils. And exhale, round the lower spine, and let your head release. We'll just do a few of these cat-cows. So bending the elbows, opening through the chest, and exhale, rounding through the lower spine, and letting the head release. And last one, tucking the toes under, bending the elbows, opening through the chest. And exhale, rounding through the lower spine, sending the seat back to the heels. And just bend the elbows, relax your forehead on your hands, or you can bring one fist on top of the other. And just take a few moments here to breathe and really see if you can feel your breath coming into the back of your body. So we're really expanding into the lungs. So they found that when you lie prone on your belly, you get a lot more fluidity and movement of breath through the back body, which includes the lungs, kidneys, the adrenals. So just take some time here to breathe into that area. And feel how your breath is nurturing your body. All right, and then reach your arms out in front. Tuck your toes under. And we're going to lift the knees and send the sitting bones high towards the ceiling. Let's keep the knees bent to start off with. So keeping the knees bent, again, releases the lower back, helps if you've got that posterior tilt that I talked about at the beginning of class. Bending the knees also means you can get more length into your spine and really stretch the vertebra, the spaces, the intervertebral discs in between the spine, getting circulation into those areas. And only straighten the legs if it's comfortable on your hamstrings and your lower back. Otherwise, keep the knees bent and keep the weight moving back. So what happens sometimes when we straighten our legs is our energy moves forward and it's much harder on the upper body. But we want to give our upper body a break. So bending the knees and sending the sitting bones back is really going to help that. And then see if you can draw your chin into your chest and press the thumb and index finger into the ground, creating a huge opening through the armpits. And just lift the thigh bones right up towards the hips, draw the ribs in, keep breathing. One more breath here, and then drop your knees to the floor and send your seat back to your heels. Again, you can rest one fist on top of the other, or you can keep your arms out in front and just relax. Nice deep breaths here. All right, again, coming up onto the hands and knees, lifting the sitting bones high. Again, softening the knees, keeping those knees bent if that's comfortable for you. This time we're going to engage the inner thighs. Draw the inner thighs towards each other. And see if you can really pressurize thumb and index finger and feel the upper arm bones moving towards each other. And then from here, we're going to step the right foot forward and drop the left knee to the floor. And then come right up onto your fingertips, deepen into that left groin, but make sure your knee and your heel are in line. And so again, we're stretching into that psoas, which runs from the base of your ribs to your inner thigh, creating a space, an opening there, stretching into that area. And at the same time, we're spreading the toes and activating the outer foot, the outer heel, and pressing into your big toe mound and your little toe mound. And then take some deep breaths here, inhaling and exhaling. And then plant your hands on the floor, tuck your toe under, lift your knee, feel that strong stretch through the front of your left groin, and step back again into down dog. Long spine, soften through the knees, letting the head release. And then step your left foot forward, drop onto your right knee. Come right up onto your fingertips. Walk your left foot so that it's in line with your knee. Come right up onto the fingertips and just breathing here. Nice deep breaths, spreading the toes, being really aware of the outer heel, the big toe mound, little toe mound, and inner heel. So an active foot creates activity through the whole leg. And often we forget about our feet. And we really want to bring our awareness to the feet, ground the legs. Tuck the toe under, lift the knee, and again, stepping back into down dog. Just feeling that length through your spine. Breathing here. And then slowly walk your feet up to your hands, or your hands back to your feet. Just let yourself hang here for a moment. Let your head hang. Your knees can be bent. If you can see, I've got my knees bent. I've got my belly right on my thighs. If I straighten my legs, my belly comes off of my thighs. So keeping the connection between the abdomen and the thighs really helps, again, to bring the breath more into the back of the body. Shifting the weight over the toes. Softening, letting the head release. Breathing deeply. And then slowly bring your hands to your hips. Lengthen your spine. So you're in a flat back here, and then just coming upright. And then come and stand at the front of the mat. Have the toes together and the heels slightly apart. Let your upper arm bones turn outwards, and then let your forearms roll in. Have your chin level. Activate the insides of the thighs so they're drawing towards each other, and you'll feel a slight lift through your pelvic floor and your lower abdomen. Just breathing here, inhaling and exhaling. Then bring your hands together at the center of your heart. Let your elbows come wide and activate. Bring some pressure into those palms. On your next inhalation, you're going to reach the arms, palms to touch, out in front. And then exhale, soften through your knees. Let your belly relax onto your thighs. Let your head release. Bring your hands to your shins and lengthen your spine. And then as you exhale, soften the knees, fold forward, and reverse that action. A reverse swan dive all the way back up. And then bring your hands to the center of your heart. We're going to do this again. So reaching the arms around and up, palms to touch. Bring the vision to your thumbs. Dive forward, nice flat back. Soften the knees. If there's tension in your lower back, let your belly rest on your thighs as your head releases. And then lengthening through the spine, reversing that movement, coming all the way up. And just like when we were sitting down and moving the pelvis first, it's the same action as we exhale, folding forward, letting the head release. And then as you inhale, feel like your pelvis is coming forward, your chest is expanding, your arms are opening, palms are touching, vision to thumbs. All right, next exhalation, we're gonna fold all the way forward again, softening the knees if there's tension in your hamstrings. This time, inhale, lengthen the spine, coming into a flat back. Exhale, plant the hands and step the left leg back, drop onto the left knee. This time, bring your whole body upright. Nice deep lunge here, shoulders relax. Exhale, hands to the floor, tuck the toe under, lift the knee and step yourself, step your whole self, step your body into a long flat line. Now, if it's hard to hold this position, just drop onto your knees. If you can, you're going to drop all the way down in one piece to the floor, bending the elbows, chaturanga. Or you're going to drop onto your knees, bend your elbows, and slowly, everybody lower to the floor. Move the hands slightly back, elbows pointing back as you lift the upper chest. Take a couple of breaths here. Feel the activation of the muscles on either side of the spine. You can feel how the kidneys are resting there, and we're tensing that area, but the back of the neck is long. There should be no pressure in your lower back. And then press up onto your hands and knees, tuck your toes under. We'll come back up into down dog. Again, remembering that if you bent your knees last time, same principle applies. Bend your knees, breathe. All right, from here, look to your hands. Take a breath in. As you exhale, the left foot steps forward. The right knee drops to the floor, and we deepen and lift up into that nice low lunge. Palms face each other, shoulders relax, stretching through the front of that right hip. Take a breath. Hands to the floor. Tuck the toe under, lift the knee. Now we're going to step the back foot forward to meet the front foot, folding, softening the knees, and then that reverse swan dive. As we inhale, come all the way up, palms to touch, vision to thumbs. Exhale, hands to the center of the heart. All right, moving on. Inhale, arms down, around, and up, palms to touch, vision to thumbs. Exhale, folding forward, softening the knees. Belly to thighs, letting the head release. Inhale, rising, halfway, opening the chest. Exhale, plant the hands and step yourself back. Body in one long line. Again, you can drop the knees, lowering one piece. It's all up to you. Coming down to the floor. Move the hands back to lift into a baby cobra. Press over the hands and knees. Tuck the toes under. Lift the sitting bones high to the ceiling. Take a breath here. Inhale and exhale. Now walk the toes to touch. Lift right up onto the balls of the feet. Feel that stretch into the calf muscle. And then lift your right leg into the air. Keep the knee pointing down. And then open the right hip and lift that leg higher and feel the stretch through the back of your left hamstring. You can bend your knee here. And then we're going to step the right foot in between the hands. The knee stays off the floor now. We bring our hands to our hips, and we're going to bend that back knee and take a different kind of a stretch into the psoas. Shoulders relax. Our hands are on the hips, so we're not worrying about arms up. And then hands to the floor and step back. Get into down dog. Toes are touching, big toes are touching. Lift the left leg with the left thigh pointing down, and then open out the hip. Really lifting that leg high. You can bend the knee if it's too strong in the standing leg. You can bend both legs if you like. It's up to you. And then step the left foot in between the hands. Again, bring the body upright and bend the back knee. We want to try and draw the left hip back as we roll the right hip forward. So think of your hips like headlights facing directly forwards. Hands on the hips, shoulders relaxed. All right, hands to the floor, and once again, step back into down dog. Now, we're going to step the right foot in between the hands again, and this time turn the left heel down. So the right heel lines up with the left heel. And then bring your body upright so that you're in a warrior two position. Make sure that your knee and your heel are stacked. So that's a principle that we keep going back to for every pose. Turn your back hip in slightly, so the back foot also turns in, following the direction of the back hip, and then externally rotate your front thigh. So it's not about getting the hips square. We can let those hips turn a little bit, which is going to release our lower back. Once you're there, raise your arms and just look over your middle finger, bringing the fingers together and just breathing, feeling that workout in the front thigh. Feel a lift from your pubic bone to your sternum, and just looking over the middle finger. And then cartwheel the hands either side of the front foot, and we'll step back into down dog again. All right, so now we're going to step the left foot in between the hands and turn the right heel down. And I'm just going to move myself in this direction, so I'm still facing you. So heel to heel alignment gives us a little bit more security in the hips. If we go heel to middle arch, often it forces us to go into a very deep, steep, open hip position, which is not as comfortable. So heel to heel alignment just allows for us to turn that back hip in. Back foot follows the direction of the back hip. The hips are level. They're not squared forward, but they're level. And we're raising the arms and looking over the middle finger. The chin is level and spreading the toes. Feel the weight on the outer heel, the big toe mound, the little toe mound. And then feel the inner heels drawing towards each other. And keep breathing. Really activate that back leg. So we don't have to do complicated movements to feel our strength and our stability in a posture. Take another breath. And then again, you're going to cartwheel the hands down, either side of the front foot. So you were on the other side, and then pressing back into down dog, lengthening down dog. All right, again, we're going to step the right foot in between the hands and turn the left heel down, lining up the heels. This time, put your right hand on your right ankle or your shin, wherever it's comfortable. Keep the top hip dropped and just straighten the front leg. So it's almost like you're leaning forward over your front leg, and then just open your chest and feel immediately how that stretches the inside of your thigh. And we want to keep as much length as we can in the underneath side of the torso. And then raising the arm at shoulder height, having hopefully the head in line with the tailbone, coming into Trikonasana, triangle pose. Take a breath here, engage your legs, spread your toes, breathe deeply into the chest, and then inhale, gently bring yourself upright and changing sides. So left foot turns out, right hip goes in, and you're just going to lengthen forward over that front leg. So I don't know if you noticed, but I'm just doing a slight turn in my whole hip structure, and then engaging the front thigh, and then lengthening, and then bringing my hand to the ankle, top hip drops, and then rolling the chest open and raising the arm into the air, and just taking a few breaths here. So triangle pose, it's a foundation pose, it's an inner thigh opener, and it's a breath pose, especially if we can lengthen the underneath side of the body. We get a lot of breath into the chest here. It's one of the poses that I do in every single practice. I think it's just a phenomenal pose, so simple, but really great for the breath. Okay, inhale, slowly anchor your feet and bring yourself upright. And then we're going to cartwheel the hands down either side of the front foot. We're going to take another vinyasa here. You can lower onto your knees, bend your elbows, or lower in one piece. And this time we're going to lift the legs and the upper chest and the arms and come into locust pose, Shalabhasana. Just taking a few breaths here. Inhaling and exhaling, pressing out through the balls of the feet, back of the neck long, and then bring the fingertips beside the chest. Again, pressing up onto the hands and knees and lengthening back into down dog. Nice long breaths here. All right, this is a creative vinyasa flow. So we're going to step the right leg forward and walk your hands forward until you lift your left leg into the air. Roll your right thigh out slightly, roll your left hip down, flex through your left foot, back of the neck long, And then just play with opening the hip. And then shifting the weight to the right fingertips and bringing the left hand to the left hip. So a little variation of our Ardha Chandrasana, not going fully into the pose, just being playful here. And then roll that hand down, roll the hip down, reach the leg back, and again, step back into plank position, lowering to the knees, lowering in one piece, and lifting up again into Shalabhasana, this time interlacing the fingers and opening the chest, drawing the toes back, breathing here, and then fingertips beside the chest, pressing up into down dog, and then stepping the left foot in between the hands, shifting the weight forward, picking up the back leg, rolling that back hip down, back of the neck long, and then shifting, opening the right hip out, bringing the weight to the left hand, and just slowly turning the torso to the right. You've got to really activate your thighs here to help you balance. Keep breathing. And then bring the hand down, roll the hip down, reaching back, and coming back into down dog. Take a breath. All right, we're going to step the right foot in between the hands. This time we're going to turn both toes to face the side of the mat, coming into fan posture or Padottanasana, bringing the body upright, hands on the hips. You want to have your feet basically parallel to the sides of the mat. It varies slightly, so one of the markers that I often use is make sure your heels are behind the widest part of your foot, which is from your big toe mound to your little toe mound, yeah? So for some people, when you line up your heels and your toes with the end of the mat, you can end up being pigeon-toed. So that's why I like to use that heel behind the widest part of the foot marker. All right, bring your hands to your hips, open your chest, and then fold forward at the hip crease. Keep your hands on your hips, roll your thighs out, lift your thigh muscles, crown of the head in line with the tail, and then bring your hands underneath your shoulders. If your hands don't easily reach the floor, keep your hands on your hips, and you can still do this. So we're going to go into a twist. So if it's hard to get your hand to the floor, just bring your left hand to your left shin and raise your right arm. Yeah, so that's a nice variation. For those of us who can, bringing our hands underneath our shoulders, bring your left hand to hold on, or bring your left hand flat on the floor, just underneath the center of your chest, and then raise your right arm into the air. You want to draw your left hip back slightly. So you can see my left hip is dropping, but you can also draw it back, and then engage your inner thigh so that engages your lower abdominals as well. And that creates a really solid base to extend the spine and twist from. Now get into the breath here. Inhale and exhale. And then bring your hand to the floor. Replace it with the one that you just had down there. And then I hope that makes sense. And then open the chest and raise the arm. And then just take some breaths here. Nice long spine. Inner thighs engaged, thigh muscles engaged, breath flowing, and then bring your hand down to the floor. And then just let your hands rest on the back of your ankles and just let your head hang. And just take a few breaths here. Engaging your thigh muscles. And then bring your hands to your hips and bring yourself all the way upright. I'll just give you my eye on the time here, and then bringing your feet together. All right, so we're going to go into tree pose. Lovely pose, lovely transition pose. So good to help us develop balance. Also another inner thigh opener. So shift your weight to your right foot, pick up your left foot, bring the left ball of the foot to the floor and the heel slightly above the ankle. Your hips are like headlights, facing directly forwards. You can bring your palms to touch at the center of your heart. So this is a really easy variation. You might want to put the foot to the inside of the shin or if it's comfortable for you and easy, bring the heel right up to where the top of the thigh and the groin meet. And then just check, have I lifted a hip? Am I pulling my hip back? Let's bring the hip forward slightly so we can actually see the knee kind of coming out at an angle. I'm trying to demonstrate and talk at the same time and nearly falling over. So bring the palms to touch, back of the neck long. Now press the sole of your foot, wherever you have it, into the inside of the leg. Press the palms to touch, back of the neck long. Keep breathing here. Have your gaze about 45 degrees down, or you can gaze straight ahead. And then just tune into that standing leg. Just notice how much the ankle actually moves to help you find your balance. So these are our proprioceptors that help to keep us centered in space. We have proprioceptors all over the body. So lower your foot to the floor, and we're going to change sides. So proprioception is really important. Like when we get dizzy, that means that something's going wrong with our proprioceptors. Something's blocking them, right? So we have a lot of awareness in our feet, because the feet and the ankles help us to find our balance, as well as our eyes. Our eyes are a very important aspect of that. So let's press the right ball of the foot into the floor and have the heel slightly above the ankle. And I like to give all the different options because like I said, I don't know what your skill level is. And I'd rather you feel safe and comfortable and nurtured in the class than that you're trying to do something that's just way out of your league. So even a simple pose like this requires good balance. So let's bring the foot to the inside of the shin if that's easy. If it's easy to come right up, make that comfortable. Bring the knee slightly forward, have the hips like headlights. Press the palms to touch, back of the neck long. Just breathing here, really pressing the sole of the foot to the inside seam of the leg. Let your breath be long and deep. And then slowly release the leg. And we're going to come into chair pose now. So Utkatasana. We're going to bring the toes to touch, heels slightly apart. I'm just going to sit like we're sitting in a chair. You want to bring the sitting bones slightly behind the heels and reach the arms out in front. And holding this pose activates the thighs, engages the abdominals. It's also a slight chest opener. And then we're going to inhale, interlace the thumbs, and lift the fingertips high towards the ceiling or the sky, and just arch back slightly so that you feel a lot of opening through the front of the body. And then exhale, coming back into that chair pose. And then inhale, lifting tall, opening the front of the chest. And again, exhale, sitting low into the chair. Go a little bit lower if you can, and inhale, opening the chest. And last one, exhale, sitting low into the chair. And inhale, opening. And then exhale, folding forward, softening the knees, letting the head release. Inhale, rising halfway. Exhale, planting the hands to the floor and lengthening back. Now we're going to walk the toes to touch. And we're going to bring the weight to the right hand and roll to the outside of the right foot and step the left foot across. And then raise the arm. If this is too much, come onto your forearm. Do it on your forearm. Yeah. So we're lifting up here, getting a stretch into the outer hip and breathing. And then bring your hand to the floor, step back. We're going to do the other side. So toes are touching. Roll to the outside of your left foot. Stay on your left wrist. Come down onto your forearm. And stretch your right leg across and just stretching here, breathing. Inhalation, exhalation. And then bringing again, hand to the floor, stepping back. And then drop onto the knees. And drop your forearms directly underneath your shoulders. Interlace your, bring your thumbs to the insides of your elbow crease. This is just to measure your distance. And then release your hands and interlace your fingers, and you're going to lift your sitting bones high to the ceiling, letting your head release. Knees are bent, and it's like a down dog where you can bend the knees here and bring the chest towards the thighs. Just let your head hang. Take some breaths. Feel this stretch through the upper body. So we've been working the legs, we've been working the upper body, and we've been hopefully focusing on the breath. All right, and then relax the knees down. Reach the hands out in front again. And just slowly lower yourself onto the floor. Bring your arms alongside your body and turn your head to the side. Close your eyes and just take some breaths into the lungs. So again, lying on your belly really helps to bring awareness to the back of your body. So take some deep breaths. All right, so coming up onto your forearms, bring your right forearm in front of you and have your elbow and your wrist in line. So it's at a right angle. And then you're going to bend your left leg and take hold of your left ankle. And we're just going to push back. So it's not a double whammy, it's just one at a time. And we're using the weight of our forearm to push us up and back. And we're just going to breathe here. Drawing the ankle back towards the back of the space, back of the mat. And then relax, and then see if you can draw your foot towards your buttock. So you're getting a stretch. You can relax your forehead on your forearm and just get a stretch through the front of your thigh. And then release, and then come up onto the other forearm and hold on to the opposite right ankle, really lifting up and drawing the foot back towards the back of the mat and just breathing here, inhaling and exhaling. Nice, long, slow breaths. Breathing into the ribs. And then release, and then turn your head to rest your forehead on your forearm, and then draw your heel right in towards your buttock. So you're getting a stretch through the front of the thigh. And then bend both knees, bring the knees together, press your forehead into the floor, and then just lift your upper chest. Keep the back of your neck long, and only lift the heels away from the buttocks if there's no pressure in your lower back. Otherwise, keep the heels to the buttocks and just lift the upper chest. But if you can, lift everything, breathe. And then release the legs and just relax and take a few breaths. Deep breaths into the back of the lungs. All right, and then press up onto your hands and knees. And we're going to bring the knees as wide as the mat and the seat back to the heels. We're going to come into forward virasana. Stretch for the inner thighs, stretch for the lower back, bringing the spine into a neutral position after the back bends. So just reaching the arms out in front, lengthening forwards. You can turn your head to the side. You can rest one fist on top of the other. You can even have your bum in the air if you're really tight in your thighs. So there's no right way to do this one. Really work with what's comfortable. If it's really tough behind the knees too, if you're feeling like it's pressure on the knees, then come up and just have your bum in the air. So just lengthening here, just relax. All right, and then slowly coming up. You're gonna bring your knees together. Sit to one side and extend your legs out in front of you in Dandasana. And then again, if you notice that you're sitting a little bit on the back of your sitting bones, get yourself that prop again and put yourself up on the prop. And you can cross right leg over left leg. And we're going to just hug that shin in towards us with the upper left arm, sitting nice and tall and turning the body to the right. Flexing through the left foot. Just breathing here. So as you inhale, you want to turn a little bit more. And then as you exhale, let the abdomen drop back to the spine. See if you can really feel your ribs expanding on the inhalation, on the twist. And then come back to center and move that foot so the heel lines up with the right groin. And then just hug that shin in towards you, flexing through the left foot. And then crossing the right foot over the left leg again, we're going to twist the other way. So it's an open twist now. Again, breathing deeply. And then coming back to center. Now bring the sole of the right foot to the inside seam of the left leg. So we are now in Janushirshasana. Yeah. So right foot into the inside of the seam of the left leg. And taking your hands, interlacing your fingers, raising your arms up. And then just slowly folding forward. So you're folding forward at the hip crease, keeping the spine long. And just holding here. We're not going into the full expression of the pose. Just holding, lengthening the spine, flexing the foot, engaging the thigh muscle. And then releasing and relaxing the arms. And we're going to do everything on the other side. So we're going to start by crossing the left leg over the right leg. We're going to hug that shin in and turn the torso. Taking a big breath and expanding and opening the ribs. So what we're doing here is we're turning around the axis of the spine. As we twist the spine, we compress the intervertebral discs. Those are the little discs in between the spine. They don't have their own fluid, blood, nutrient supply. So when we unwind from the twist, all the fresh blood and fluid rushes in and nurtures the spine. So at night we twist as we sleep, so we're kind of doing that in the day to help us nourish the spinal column, keeping our spines healthy and young. All right, and then coming to center, you're going to bring that foot to line up with the sitting bone and just going to hug and hold here. A couple of breaths. And then you're going to bring that foot to the outside of the leg and twist in the open position. And then coming back to center, you're going to bring that foot to the inside seam of the leg. You might want to stay on your prop. I'm a little bit more comfortable without it. And then interlace the fingers, raise the arms up, and then fold forward at the hip crease, keeping the length in the spine, back of the neck long, flexing through that foot, just lengthening here, shoulders soft, breathe deep. Coming upright, and then extending both legs. And we're going to slowly come more to the front of the mat, and we're going to roll ourselves down vertebra by vertebra. If that's not comfortable for you, you can relax down onto the floor keeping the knees bent. And we're going to lift the thighs, so the hugging the shins in towards us, and just take a moment here, another neutral position for the spine, hugging the thighs in. And then we're just going to lift the feet to the ceiling. So I promise that we're not doing shoulder stand, but we are going to invert the legs. Inverting the legs is really great for just reversing the flow, bringing more circulation into the pelvis. And I love this one. It's just such a great alternative if it's too strong to hold shoulder stand. This is a lovely way to get the same benefits. Easier also than having to set yourself up at the wall and do viparita at the wall. So this is a really just nice, simple way. And I like to hold it as long as I start to feel like my circulation, I can't feel the circulation in my feet anymore. So just noticing that when it starts to feel like your feet are turning yellow, then you've probably held it enough. All right, and then bending the knees, lowering the feet to the floor. Walk the feet as wide as the mat and just let your knees come together. Bring your hands onto your navel. Close your eyes. And come back to observing your breath. So this is the constructive rest position. Releasing tension through the psoas. And then just bring your feet together and let the soles of the feet touch as your knees come out wide. So this is reclining goddess pose or Supta Baddha Konasana. You can bring your fists to rest just above your, just behind your thighs if it's uncomfortable, just to support your thighs. And just come into your breath. All right, and then just bring your knees together and just let your legs extend and just lie flat on your back, coming into Shavasana. Just closing your eyes. Just getting really comfortable here. There's nothing you need to do or undo. Just feel that effortless presence that is yourself. And just move your awareness to a part of your body where you feel absolutely neutral. There's no sensation there. And just notice as you go to that part of your body where there's no sensation, there's no particular feeling, could be your big toe or your shoulder or your nose, how everything relaxes, including the breath. Let's think about how much energy we expend, going to places of sensation. When we go to a place of no sensation, how it's effortless. We don't have to form a thought around that. But just spend a few moments feeling, tuning in to a part of the body which is completely neutral. And feel your body just completely sinking into the floor, letting go. the weight of the ground supporting the body. And we'll just spend a few moments here just in silence, just tuning into how this practice expresses itself energetically in your body. Om Shanti Sundara. 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 Om Shanti Shanti Sundara. So gently bring your awareness back to your body, moving your fingers and your toes. Just reaching your arms up over your head and taking a big stretch. And then coming back up to a comfortable seat. Thank you so much for joining me today, and thank you so much to Paul and the team for putting this incredible program together. I'm so grateful to be a part of it and to share, and wishing everyone who's in my time zone a super wonderful day. And if it's evening, a super wonderful evening. Thank you.